Terrible. It is 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. It's, thanks. It's Tuesday. Much grass. Tuesday, the Anchor Baby and JLP looking out for Hake. The 10th of June, AD 2025. And what is up to Elohim Supreme? Thank you, Jesse Lee, for sending your viewers over to the Hake Report over on the Rumble crew. Oh, thank you, Pilled viewers, for coming to watch Hake over on Pilled, because we're too much of boomers to know how to raid. But JLP raided Hake over on Rumble. So I'm live over there. We're getting started, okay, guys? This is space. It's not my space. It's just a desktop space, and it's real. So we're going to get going over here. I will get to your calls like I mentioned before I got started on the stream. You callers probably heard me mention that. Some of you guys are already on hold. The lines are filling up. There is one line open. Appreciate y'all. You know, there's just some very interesting mess going on. But before I tell you about the mess, a quick disclaimer. Everything that I say and everything that you guys say in the snake pit and on the comment sections after the show and sometimes during the show, because you're boomers on Rumble and you don't know how to get into the live chat, so you comment. I don't know if that's happened lately. But the callers, stuff that they say, guests when I have guests sometimes, stuff that they say, stuff that I read on the news reports. Don't believe any of it necessarily. Okay, take it with a grain of salt. And it definitely does not, it's not meant to represent Bond or JLP or anything like that, okay? And like I've been saying, even what I say may not even represent me. Terrible. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to show those aspects, those organs. I didn't know I was not supposed to show those organs. We're looking at the beach stream. It's just that I'm, I'll call it innocent, and you guys are not. And you're stealing it. You're stealing my innocence. And of course, I'm being a slightly bit facetious. We're looking at the beautiful San Onofre beach. I like how dead it is. I like going to dead places. And by dead, I just mean nobody around. Not literally dead. Okay? So that's the little quick disclaimer thing, okay? So no endorsement, no opposition implied. So, right on. I don't represent the network. There is one line open. I will get to your super chats as well. I did see you guys super chatted in. Let me make sure that I am connected on all these places, such as Facebook and other places. It does look like I am on Punchy. What's up, Nicole? Punchy.tv/Hake. I ought to be live on BitChute. Nobody watches there, so not too concerned about it. But I do like to be live there. You know, I like to be live wherever I can. Okay, so there's a little bit of news as I attempt to get things going. Okay, so in the news, I was amused that RFK Jr., that he fired a bunch of those CDC vaccine people. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention vaccine, like there's 17 and they serve in like 4-year terms as like experts to recommendations for the vaccine schedule or whatever that is. Means when kids are born at certain ages, they're supposed to take vaccines according to, I guess, these people or generations prior to them who've been you know, deciding what the government recommended policy is. And when I was a kid, you know, I think I got like a tetanus shot and maybe measles shot. Or I remember taking a TB skin test. I remember having to take different shots. I didn't take very many. I've heard that there's like 32 different schmaxine things that kids have to take. Don't quote me on that, obviously. It's just what I heard, and I may not even be remembering what I heard. And maybe there's a bunch combined into one single shot sometimes. I don't know, because they have the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella. That's 3. Are there 3 vaccines or 1 vaccine? Or it's 1 vax, is that 3? Whatever, don't know. What's up, Ang? It's just Ang, nice to see you. So anyway, he fired them because he claimed that they have a conflict of interest. And so it's a big overhaul. And I'm kind of for it because, you know, there's been a lot of talk in the underground, in the grassroots, if you will. And that talk has been suppressed. And of course, a lot of that talk is false, I'm sure. There's a lot of people make false claims when they're skeptics or critics or anti-schmaxers. But there is also room. There is room for questioning and, you know, criticism and stuff. And that room has not been allowed, so I think that that's a positive thing, actually. Without knowing anything about anything. Shout out. That's nice. But there's also HHS people. HHS people have this website, and it's like this corny name for a website. Like something to the effect of defend the science or something like that. We believe in science.org or .net or something silly like that. I'll probably get to it maybe. And these people are criticizing this Jay Bhattacharya. I don't know how to say his name, obviously. He's like Indian or something like that. And he was part of the Barrington Declaration or something like that. You know, regarding the overreaction, the establishment overreaction to the China virus and maybe the vaccines or something. And I'm for vaccines, by the way, let it be known, YouTube. But done rightly and not by force. Because some people may not need them. They may do more harm than good for certain people. Certain ones. So they're acting like, oh, all of a sudden, since there's a backlash because they went too far with it, they're calling it, they being the liberals went too far with it, and they're doing all these diverse populations and stuff like that. They're getting rid of DEI. There's like a backlash from the right saying, you know what, you guys went way too far. We're going our way, what we see is right. Because the libs went what they think that they see is right. So the conservatives are doing what they think that they see is right. And it's not even that conservative, because RFK's not conservative. I don't know anything about this Jay guy, other than that he thinks differently from the establishment on the medicine thing. But they're calling it politicization of research. But politicizing research, politicized research, is what they've been doing. But they don't realize that. Or they're pretending not to realize that. So I found that interesting. I found it quite interesting. That they're accusing us of doing what they've been doing. It's kind of like when they accused the right, if you will, of politicizing public health. Well, even the word public health is politicized. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So I'm walking in the water here over at the beach in this video. So give me a break. You know what I mean? Ridiculous. There was other stuff going on. I learned, which was interesting, if I can make this other point, that Father's Day didn't even really get established until after the fathers were all gone. The fathers were already on their way out. That's what I just learned when JLP said, I don't think there was a Father's Day when he was growing up. They didn't have it, at least not where he was. And that may be true, because in the 66 through like 72, that's when they started having Father's Day, and they probably started having it because the fathers were on their way out. You start trying to acknowledge, oh, we're a Christian nation, when we're losing it. We're trying to acknowledge Father's Day when the fathers are weaker and less doing their job and fatherly and more pushed out than ever. We're trying to say, oh, marriage is between a man and a woman when marriage is already gone and the gays are already pushed into the so-called mainstream. We're trying to assert stuff when it's already too late and it's already gone. So I found that very interesting, the timing of them pushing Father's Day as a thing. And it is kind of woman-ish, if you will, to like acknowledge and celebrate. Trump is trying to bring back these heroes and statues when the heroes and statues of the American history are gone. They're like gone because the country already doesn't respect anybody anymore. And I love the boomers for doing it and the older people from the 60s and 20s and 100s, I guess, for trying to push the importance of it, but I guess you just have to live it. That's what I do appreciate about Trump, because he's like a living example of an American hero. An American hero. Father's Day, founded, established, when it was already too late, when their fathers were gone. Because the fathers, you may not know this, but in this 1965, the black out of wedlock birth rate was 25%. So a quarter of black babies were born out of wedlock, usually meaning the father wasn't with the baby and not married to the mother anyway. And that was considered a crisis in like 1965, the J. Patrick Moynihan report. And now the white children are born, like a third of us are born out of wedlock, probably more than that by now, depending on what you consider white. And black out of wedlock birth rate is more than 3/4, depending on how you, what you consider black American, you know? Crazy. So, yeah, the fathers were already on their way out when we tried to reach and hold on to the fathers. Or they tried to. The plot thickens. So, I found that interesting. They were better off when they didn't acknowledge it. We were more Christian when we didn't necessarily call ourselves a Christian nation. Because when did we start having to call ourselves a Christian nation? I don't know. I just noticed that we're trying to hold on to things when it's already too late. I will get to your super chats. I see more and more coming in, so I better get started over here. There is still one line open, okay? There's other news to get to as well. But anyway, guys, let's just get right on with the 15 minutes later show. Oh, Lord.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So How you guys doing? I am fine. I have another JLP t-shirt on. When she's crying, she's lying. It's a nice one. I like it. You might too. Shout out to the designer who made that. That's cool. When she's crying, she's lying. That actually applies to the male criers too. Obviously. Nice. Okay. I would like to get to a few calls, okay? Mark in Los Angeles, California, is first in line here. Mark, thanks for calling. What's up, man?
Yes, sir, Hake. Before I get started, I just wanted to say that the protesters in the LA riots, they're not protesters, they're terrorists.
Terrorists.
They're foreign flags, they're spitting on officers, burning the American flag. I just wish they could be shot dead on sight.
Whoa.
Yeah, I do. If I could join the police and the National Guard in righteously taking these demons out, I'd be right in the front line.
But you say righteously, that wouldn't be righteous just because they are anti-American and spitting on people. That's way too far of an escalation, man. You're being too passionate. It's not right, especially not for my show, man.
Well, I mean, that's an opinion. I'm not allowed to have an opinion?
Not like that, because as a man, you shouldn't even really have an opinion. You should be manlier than to react. They want you to hate them, actually, because they hate you.
They've succeeded. Okay, and they've
So
succeeded.
anyway, move forward, because you're not gonna win that, because that's I completely disavow that, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I called is because in regards to the discussion that I had with Ronnie a couple of weeks ago, and the clown that called in about Kush. Here's what I want to say. There's a book, and you told me you'd allow me to give this book title. It's called History of the World by Arnold S. Toynbee, who was an anthropologist and historian at Oxford University. The book was written in 1946. If you can get the unabridged version, or even with the regular version, you may be able to find.
Does it address Kush specifically?
No, because it's a fairy tale. But let me get to that, if you would. On page 54 of that book, History of the World by Arnold S. Toynbee, the following quote: "The black race alone has not contributed to any civilization as yet." Now, the book was written in 1946.
Any what type of civilization?
Okay, the black race alone has not contributed to any civilization as of yet. And the book was written in 1946. Now, the argument about a Greek historian, you know his name.
Herodotus. I was pronouncing it Herodotus because I thought it had an I, but it's O. Herodotus. And he lived 1,000 years before that. And actually, It sounded like, from what, according to Wikipedia and according to what my clown, as you called him, caller, told me, he or somebody he knew went there and checked it out and had some stories. If it were really a fairy tale, since it was written 1,000 years prior, had Toynbee heard of Herodotus? I would imagine he did, because people say that Herodotus is the father of history.
That doesn't mean he had the technology and the ability 3,000 years ago that Toynbee had in the 1940s. Actually, Toynbee's research started in the 1920s. And even 100 years ago.
I know, but 1,000 years before Toynbee was Herodotus or so, right? Maybe
he said
maybe
3,000, but whatever.
I think
Christ.
I think it was before Christ, and but not too long before Christ. So it's.
But the point is, he didn't have the technology and the ability to go to the ruins like Toynbee did all over the world. And according to Toynbee, he was referred to as, by some people, as the Indiana Jones of Oxford, because he taught at Oxford. Claims that the white race created 7 civilizations. The Asians, I think he has 3. I had to write this down. I had my friend in Chicago Art Jones check this out for me because he's got the book.
But he didn't. But it sounds like Toynbee didn't really address Kush based on what you told me.
Yeah, because Kush didn't exist. It's a myth.
But if Herodotus wrote about it, and Herodotus was an historian, the father of history, maybe it was a nominal and decent and interesting little civilization that lasted a little while there, and Toynbee didn't really address it. But you're calling it a fairy tale. But Toynbee didn't. Toynbee, at least as far as you've told me, doesn't sound like Toynbee called it a fairy tale. That's just your words.
No, but he didn't even mention it because it didn't exist.
But you're making the claim that it didn't exist. Did Toynbee say that it didn't exist?
No, he didn't mention it though. It's not
so
in
then
his writing.
why are you saying that it didn't exist just because Toynbee didn't mention it? But Toynbee didn't say that it didn't exist.
It was brought up on your show as a black civilization to make guys like Ronnie feel good. It's all untrue.
I totally agree with not making blacks today or anybody feel good about something other people did.
Well, I know, but it's untrue.
But you don't know that it's untrue. You're assuming. It sounds like.
I'm not assuming. Read the book.
The book doesn't say anything about it. According to you. According to you, the book doesn't say anything about it.
That's
right.
So
the book doesn't make a claim that Kush didn't exist. You are.
It makes the claim that the black race alone has not contributed to any civilization as of yet.
But that's fine. That's fine.
Whenever this fairy tale of yours started. Okay.
But you're calling it a fairy tale. Obviously, you have a bias against them even acknowledging anything from them.
Well, no, I'm against revisionist history.
I know, but you're revising Toynbee's words to make an assertion that Toynbee never, to my knowledge, made.
Well, what does the quote mean to you? The quote that I've quoted 2 times already.
It means possibly. It means
no,
possibly.
It didn't say
Hold on. Let me answer.
Sure.
That could mean that present civilizations, the black race didn't really contribute to the present civilizations.
Right, and that would include the fairy tale called Kush.
No, it wouldn't, because Kush was no longer a civilization. They had contributed to past civilizations.
What happened to it?
I don't know.
Of course you don't know, because it's a fairy tale.
That doesn't follow. That's called jumping to conclusions.
No, you can't prove in any physical, real way anything called Kush ever existed. You're using the word.
It's on the internet.
Year-old Greek. The internet's been tainted by CRT.
Right.
Everything. You can't trust the FBI. You can't trust the media. You can't trust the Democrats. You can't trust the coroner's office in Minneapolis. And yet you're going to believe that some non-existent civilization existed when it didn't.
Well,
okay?
Ideally, you would not believe. You would not take a position either way.
And it's affected you. I'm sorry to say that. You're a good man, Hake, but
right.
it's affected you. It's brainwashed you without you even knowing.
But why not just believe neither way?
Africa today. Does anything in Africa resemble a civilization that white people
a little bit. I mean, the whites helped a lot with.
They brought it over. They're wearing suits and ties and speaking English.
Right.
Okay, they're not speaking Swahili and jumping and walking around with like a native with a spear and whatnot. When I told you yesterday, when the first white explorers went to Africa, the blacks were throwing wooden spears, not metal. They hadn't even developed metal yet. Okay, but you're going to sit there and say, "Oh, these great civilizations existed. We got to keep the black people happy."
That's not what that's about.
Things. What?
That's not what it's about. Whether Kush existed has nothing to do with keeping the blacks happy.
Well, it makes them proud. Oh, yeah, we had civilizations too.
But they didn't.
Pardon?
They didn't. Those people did.
Well, they're of the same race. Okay.
I guess.
By the way, on this one other thing I wanted to mention about Toynbee, he did say that the brown races, not black but brown people, created 2 civilizations, and the Asians 3, the whites 7, and there are 3 categories of whites in his book: Nordic, Aryan, and Alpine. And in the book, he in the Mediterranean, he describes the civilizations that they started and their history. Nothing about Kush, this term that they use to smoke pot. They probably stole it from a pot shop, and they're using it because it sounds cute. No evidence. And besides, even if this guy, this Greek philosopher, what did you call him, the father of history? Well, how did you...
Yeah, I think he was called the father of history, according to somebody on my Pilled stream, Pilled.net.
Okay, but then we have, what was his name? The one, Hippocrates, I think was his name.
Yeah, Hippocrates.
Okay, that they take the oath.
Hippocrates, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, now he was, what is he, the father of medicine or
something
whatever?
like that, yeah. These Greeks...
That doesn't mean if somebody discovers a cure for cancer that Greek had anything to do with it. Just like this historian. He didn't have the technology and the ability to research like Toynbee did in the 1920s and 30s. I mean, this Greek lived thousands of years ago. There's no way he had the ability to research and find a fairy tale called Kush. Okay? I don't know if he made it up or if that's CRT inserted.
They had technology a little bit back then. They had
3,000 years ago compared to 100
484 to 425 BC.
Okay.
That's just 2,500 years ago, something like that.
Okay, and Toynbee wrote the book in 1946.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's
when...
when...
in my favor, okay? He
What?
had the technology had been
Technology
advanced.
doesn't matter when you're looking at whether civilizations existed.
Yeah, but there's ruins, okay? There's evidence, for example, that the Greeks had a civilization. There's
Right.
evidence.
Yep.
Okay, there's no evidence for Kush.
Now you're just saying stuff.
Pardon me?
Now you're just saying there's no evidence.
No,
for
you
Kush.
show me the evidence. I showed you mine. You show me yours.
I'm not interested.
Of course you're not, because you're losing the argument.
No, if you were interested, you would look into it and then make a claim. But you don't have to. You don't want to look into it. Or
I've already looked into it.
No, you didn't. You looked at some other book that doesn't even mention it. According to you,
Toynbee ended the argument. Okay, he lived roughly 100 years ago. This other guy lived what? I don't know. Whatever you said, 2,000 or 3,000 years. Whatever you say. That doesn't mean he had the ability to investigate past civilizations. And you can't, no matter what you say or how you try to spin it, you can't deny the quote that the black race, this is by Toynbee, the black race alone has not contributed to any civilization as of yet. And picking cotton doesn't count.
Let me see. The Kushan Empire and the Kingdom of Kush were distinct entities. Both have Kush designation. I was looking up whether Toynbee ever talked about Kush, and he talked about the Kushan Empire, Kushan, as opposed to the... Yeah, Toynbee, but not the Kingdom of Kush. So does he talk about Kingdom of Kush?
Because it didn't exist. I mean, you're falling for a hoax, man. You're falling for a hoax. I went to the effort, giving you the quote. I gave you the page.
So Google AI may be mistaken, but they claim Google AI has been wrong. All AI is liberal. But it says that he did mention the Kingdom of Kush in his writings. I don't know if that's true or not. Okay.
I don't know either, but my guess is it's been inserted by CRT. The government, the school system, and social media bent over backwards to allow these communists, is what they are, revisionists, to rewrite history. Okay? That's all it is. That's all it is. And when you were in high school, I never heard of Kush. Did you when you were in high school? Did you ever hear of it?
I don't really know.
Of course
Maybe.
you didn't.
Yeah.
You could say I did, but you didn't. And I didn't either because it didn't exist. Probably 5 years
but
ago.
I didn't really pay attention in history. I was like, something else is going to happen.
Well, you know about the Roman Empire, I'm sure.
I'd heard of it.
Yeah. But we never heard of Kush. Okay, maybe they're brainwashing.
Well, that's because they weren't really. They were just.
Today.
They were just. They didn't make an empire. They just had a kingdom, as opposed to an empire. There's all kinds of kingdoms everywhere.
Yeah, right. Like the one in South Africa.
They were
kings. The guy that Trump had at the White House. That's black civilization. That's a black kingdom. A tyrant who speaks English and wears white man's clothes.
I'm for tyrants sometimes.
Well, it depends. I've said this on your show.
Yeah.
I wish Trump would be a dictator.
Yeah, me
and
too.
And just ignore these judges and enforce the MAGA rules.
Me too.
Enforce MAGA, what we voted for him for.
Yep.
Okay, but that would mean he would be a dictator, and I don't have a problem with it.
That's right.
I don't have a problem with it. Do you think under Well, I know you're going to hang up on me, so I got to watch what I say. But I'll just try to put it as gently as I can. If we had a real white leader and he ignored these communist judges, we'd have our country back already. We'd have our country back already. And by the way, the Marines are moving into L.A.
I'd heard that.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
a good thing. I wish I wish this would have happened when I was in, man. Oh, I would have loved to have been taking these terrorists on.
Yeah, you already said that. We gotta move on.
Yeah, okay. I hope you learned something.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Hake.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. That's funny, man. Okay, so Manuel in Fresno, California is on the line over here. What's up, Manuel?
Mr. Hake.
Hey. Oh, I still got to get back with you. I got your email. I
No,
just
you
have to
did.
respond.
Yeah, you did. You did. I saw that. Man, you know Mark's, well, I don't want to say he's right, but you know he's pretty accurate on what he's saying, right?
I know that he's overall, big picture, right about stuff, but he'll make assertions that are just off.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing a little research on this whole Kush and Zimbabwe thing, and
Okay.
just dabble, you know. I wish I didn't, because I'm just going down a rabbit hole I don't need to go down.
Right.
But anyways, the Kush, did you know Kush had gender equality?
Oh, no. No wonder they didn't last. What do you mean by gender equality? They had women leading?
I don't know. I would say yes, because there's something about they found artifacts of like a bigger, voluptuous woman.
Oh.
You know, black people, they put that thing in New York, you know, a bigger fat black lady instead of like a thin, skinny, hot one.
Yeah.
So they're saying like the same artifacts were found back then.
Back then, that meant that she was healthy and fertile, I guess, right? Something like that?
Right.
I feel like I might have seen that one. I wonder if I knew that it was from that. Maybe I'm thinking something else.
So you know that Kush and Egypt ran together around the same time, but Egypt like came before Kush and still lasted after Kush.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Okay. So then I started doing a little research on the whole Great Zimbabwe. And every time I do research on it, it would send me down this like pre-recorded subset of answers. They're highly advanced technology for the time, and blah, 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 advanced sewer systems and water systems.
In the Kingdom of Kush. K-U-S-H.
Great Zimbabwe now. Great Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
Rhodesia, you know.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, Rhodesia before that was Zimbabwe, but they called it the Great Zimbabwe. That's what they're calling it now. From the 11th century to the 15th century is when Great Zimbabwe was around. And they said that they had advanced water systems and sewer systems and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Do you think they had a higher advanced system than Rome?
No, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't
Exactly.
assume that, definitely.
So 1,000 to 1,500 years later, you guys still don't have the technology that Rome had, and Rome is destroyed. So I don't believe, I'm sure there was some, you know, like I understand what you're getting at. I'm sure there was kingdoms. I'm sure there was black civilizations, maybe not the right word is civilization, but, you know, black traditions and black civilizations that were out there before.
Yeah.
It's just the advancements that they had, they weren't as like high up as they're saying, you know, like,
yeah.
If you had highly advanced water systems, and Rome had highly advanced water systems 1,500 years before you, and yours is obsolete, and you guys won't even come close to using that to this day, then it's not advanced in my eyes. But,
Right.
you know, you go down these, you type anything to AI. That's why I remember someone called in a long time ago was saying, like, you have to word things correctly when you ask AI.
Right.
If not, it'll just send you down this whole pre-recorded answer system. Like,
And they'll tell you totally wrong, too. They'll tell you the exact opposite of the truth sometimes.
Do you think Zimbabwe, before Rhodesia showed up, had a more advanced water system, or no?
I wouldn't assume so, definitely. I wouldn't assume that at all.
Right. So, like, I was going down AI and I was asking them yes or no questions, like direct questions. I don't want the full explanation that you guys are going to add. Because, like, remember I was telling you the gender equality thing? Like, you get stuff like that. Like, how do you even know what gender equality was 2,000 years ago?
That's a good question. That's funny. That's what AI was trying to tell you?
Yeah.
Because AI is liberal and thinks that that's a good thing.
Right. Well, I'm sure, like, well, I don't know. I don't even believe the Romans were gay back then. Like, I've heard so many people say, like, oh, the Roman soldiers would do gay stuff together.
Yeah.
I don't even believe that, because I figured back then people were savages. Yeah, there might have been a couple of, like, 1% of them out there doing something weird, but a lot of them would probably be killed because they still throw people off the buildings over there. I wouldn't expect gender equality like that to be the way it is now. Maybe as in, like, yeah, a woman can move up in society as long as, you know, she's by a man or her father, or, you know, something was given to her, you know, just like how it was here in the U.S. Women could own land and vote way before the women's rights situation.
Oh, really?
It's just you had to,
I knew they could own land. I didn't know they could vote, some of them.
Anybody who owned land can vote.
Really?
That's how it was. That's why, like, it's so crazy when you hear these women.
Where'd you get that?
So hard. Oh, I do research. You see me, you know.
Okay.
I sit around.
So according to your research, according to your research, they were voting already because when they owned land in America.
Right. If you own land, you can vote. Any man can vote if he owned land. And most men didn't have the right to vote until like a couple years before this whole suffragette thingy, because military prescription and blah blah blah. Yeah, but then after that, you know, everyone got the right to vote. I'm sure there was some like little mess going on, you know, about all that. But yeah, men and women had the right to vote before, as long as you own land. One of the biggest landholders in the world was on Titanic and died.
Women landowners.
No, men. A man. There's a man that went on the Titanic, and he was one of the largest landowners in the world, in the U.S. And to vote, you had to own property. So he can sway elections because, you know, he owned the property. And, you know, he died and the government took over all his property. So.
Oh, wow. That's messed up.
Then the Federal Reserve. Yeah, then the Federal Reserve Act got passed, and then women's rights, and then, you know, it's just a big old mess downhill from there.
You know,
well, I mean, it probably started.
Mark had mentioned ruins. I'm looking at what appear to be, unless the pictures are misleading me, what appear to be little ruin things from purportedly, I mean, I assume, from the Kingdom of Kush. There's little ruin things. There's ruins. You know, these little brick building things. So it looks like they had a little thing. And he asked what happened to them. And according to this meme thing in my Google Images, which is a very reliable source, memes, you know. I'm mocking, of course. They got invaded. They became very wealthy, had jewelry and stuff like that, amazing detailed inscriptions and pictures. They rebuilt many of Egypt's pyramids, according to whatever, some other meme. But they were invaded from the east. And
did you just say that they used slaves to build the
I didn't
pyramid?
mention slaves, but I would hope that
I thought you were talking about black people. My bad.
They might have.
I've heard that too. Like, they built the pyramids. I'm like, bro, I'm sure a white man, I'm sure a black man, I'm sure an Egyptian man, I'm sure an Arab and a Chinaman. I'm sure they all did because they had slaves back then. So I'm sure plenty of people built the pyramids, as in the slave quarters.
Right. Yeah.
Because Kush was inside of Egypt, as if the Jews, you know, the Jews were inside of Egypt at one point. They were their own thing.
According to the Bible.
They got away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know if other historical stuff say that the Israelites were actually in Egypt. I don't know. Not necessarily saying that it's not true, but because I don't have a position.
You said there's no historical.
I didn't say there is no historical thing other than the Bible. I just said that I don't know if there's an historical document that says that the Israelites were in Egypt.
Really?
You can check with Daniel. He's another history type of a guy.
From Tejas?
Yeah, from Tejas.
Cool.
So the
one that
Kushites
believes
grew
in-
and became more wealthy, able to build large, comfortable homes, plan beautiful cities. Golden Age brought to an end by people known as the Axums, who invaded Kush around 500 BC from the east. So they were
That's
in
what type
Egypt
of
for a while,
material they
and they left, returned to their Africa. Interesting that they say their Africa as opposed to Egypt. And then the Kingdom of Kush
Damn.
entered a golden age. So they're kind of rich and spoiled, and then they got invaded, kind of like us.
Right.
People are going to say, "Oh, America never existed in 1,500 years."
You should ask what type of building materials they use to build their hut.
I see their huts look like, I wouldn't even call them huts. They look like stone type of stuff. Stone brick things, or maybe clay brick, big old brick stone thingies.
Mhm. Well, I'm sure there was some type of like civilization going on.
Yeah,
As in,
exactly.
I'm sure the definition for what others are using for civilization is like advanced, like Rome,
Right.
the Vikings. that
Vikings were not
traveled
even exactly
outside.
civilized necessarily, right? Because they just kind of raped and
No.
pillaged. They didn't really establish, that I know of, a functioning. They got along with each other, I guess, but
Right.
sort of.
I don't know if I asked you this already
I
or
don't
not,
know.
but do you know what Anglo and Saxon comes from?
Sort of like basically German and English, or the precursors to
Right.
the Germans and the English, right? Something like
Right. Well, they were part
Tribes.
of the Germanic tribes that took over Rome whenever
Uh-huh.
Rome fell. Anglo, Saxon, Bavarians, Frederick, or something like Frankfurts, or there was like a bunch of them. I didn't know that. I always thought Anglo and Saxon were like Britain, white people, not, which, it's pretty similar anyways, Germany to them, they're still white.
that. Yeah.
But I always thought it was just from Britain or something like that. Or
No,
the
I think we
UK.
were the barbarians who overthrew Rome,
Right.
something like
Being
that. I
dead,
don't know.
homie.
Because they got too diverse.
Yeah.
And
Well, what
then,
happened is, they spread themselves too thin, and then started getting diverse, and then,
Spoiled.
any society can fall,
For
as
sure.
long as you spread yourself too thin and don't hold borders and don't have like the same rules or two justice systems, your whole system's going to fail.
Yeah.
But
That's a
I'll
fact.
give Ronnie a little thumbs up. At least he's looking into things, but I don't believe they're really that great of a civilization.
The point that I give to Mark is that blacks will assert these past civilizations and feel proud about it within themselves when it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I don't get that because I'm Portuguese and Mexican, and I can care less what they've done.
Yeah.
I was born in America, bro. That was so many years ago. And, I try not to even get into the past of, before 1990 when I was born because I don't really care. I wasn't alive. I can't really change anything. I can read stuff, but, it's hard to hang on to stuff like that because that's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I can't change it.
Right.
It's only here now,
You
I
know,
was telling someone I was American. Go ahead.
the stuff that my father did is a benefit to me, but it's not really necessarily a credit to me, except that, he sort of raised me. I don't know, somehow or another, I have a little bit of sense, I suppose. So, thanks to him for that, and thanks to God for that, I guess, right? But I'm proud of my dad, but it's it doesn't mean that I'm great just because he
Right,
is,
no.
So
I look at my dad and good.
if I can't take credit for my dad, how am I going to take credit for America? America is ours to hold on to or to lose, or to build up, to add to, or to let slip even further away,
Right.
or wherever
look
you
at my-
are.
Yeah, I look at my dad just like that. I know for sure he's done amazing things, but I don't like you said. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I don't credit it all or whatever
Right.
it was.
You can look around and see present day reality of the different races and the different issues that the different races commonly have, and just acknowledge it. Fighting about the past is a trap. But it is interesting. I find it interesting.
Yeah. That dude Elijah, I like that guy.
Nice.
He said he's from LA, right?
California, I think. United States,
Portuguese.
anyway. Oh yeah, yeah.
Portuguese too, right?
Yeah, he's a little Portuguese. That's right.
I bet you I know where he lives.
I mean, I think he was maybe raised a little. He mentioned something like East LA or something. He mentioned like being raised sort of among Mexicans and stuff, and they called him white boy.
Yeah. Because I could have sworn he said he was Portuguese, and my grandfather and them all like live right there in LA, or used to live there in LA in Artesia.
Okay.
And like
you said Arcadia?
They still have like a Artesia.
Oh, Artesia. Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
They still have a bullfighting ring there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The Portuguese do like the bullfights, and then they do a suicide squad where they got like 6 guys in a line, and they stand in front of the bull and catch it while it's running at them.
Wow.
Yeah, look up Portuguese suicide squad. It'll make you laugh like, dude, these guys are idiots.
Wow, interesting.
All right.
Good to hear from you, man. Very
You too,
interesting.
man.
Thanks for your research.
No problem.
All right.
Bye.
Super funny. Cool. Okay. Before I get let me take one more call. Lexi is a first-time caller in Ohio on the line. Lexi, what's up? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. My question isn't really pertaining to like any historical event.
No, you're fine. I don't care about history. I don't even know history.
Okay. Yeah, that's the truth. I've had the same perspective on that.
Yeah.
But just a little background really quick. I am 20, well, I'll be 23 this Friday, and then my spouse will be 40 in August. So we have about 17 years between the two of us. And I had called Jesse to get his input on this, but I didn't get to make it on the show today. But we have been together for 3 years, and we have one son together, and I'm pregnant right now with the second one. And I'm not too delighted about it just because, we're not so stable, and he's not home often. He kind of just leaves whenever he wants to. But he has kind of like been telling me that if, he's not around, that I'll end up messing up the children. And I'm just kind of like at a point where I'm like not really willing to continue the relationship with this person, and kind of curious on your thoughts of like what I should do with the children. Because I don't want to leave my children. Obviously, the second one isn't born yet, but it's not a healthy situation for me to be in anymore. But as far as like the children go, I don't know if I should leave him with the children or co-parent, because co-parenting right now is just not working at all for us. So maybe you could share your thoughts on that, about what you think I should do.
Are you assuming that he's cheating on you? That he's committing adultery?
No, I'm not assuming.
Or is he?
He just doesn't talk
I guess he's not.
to me a lot.
Oh, okay.
And that's a great question. He is contacted with his ex-girlfriend who he had sex with back in college now.
But that was before you were born.
Yeah, that's so
ancient.
true.
I mean,
I guess.
I
was
mean,
like 10.
it seems inappropriate to be talking to some other gal from way back still. But
yeah.
But anyway, okay, so enough about him. You think he is, though? Or you think he did?
No, I don't think he's cheating on me. I just think it has to deal with what you were talking about like trying to keep something that's already gone. As far as, like, the respect. Because, I considered it, you know. I was like, okay, because he's a trade artist and he also tattoos for a living. And she ironically has a fiance that he tattoos.
Oh.
But the awkward thing for me is that she always tries to impose herself and give him things and send pictures of her son to him and tell her things about her personal life. And he just told me that he's been talking to her about me badly also.
He told you that?
Yeah, he told me that.
He's been complaining to her about you? Venting?
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to leave?
Yeah, it's not healthy because
you want to take the kids with you.
Well, my son doesn't really know him that much. He's really only here like every other week.
That's his son too, though, right? His son is your son?
Yeah, it's his boy too, yeah.
And he doesn't know you. He doesn't know him that much because he's there once a week. Is that what you said?
Every other week.
Oh, okay.
'Cause he's always on the road.
Is he on the road for work?
That's what he says. And I'm like, yeah, okay, for work, for sure. I believe that he's on the road for work.
Do you bug him?
No, I don't actually.
Why does he stay away?
I also work too, so I take care of children in home with private clients that I have, and I'm able to bring my son. But no, I don't bug him. Typically, when he's home, he just sits around and watches TV, and he also smokes weed. But that's what he does on the 2 days that he's back around.
And so you guys get along great during that time?
In my head, since I've been pregnant, I kind of just like have had hormones and really just like, because he also doesn't sleep in the same bed with me either. And I've been asking him if he could sleep with me in the same bed.
Uh-huh.
And that had like sparked a conflict with him because he doesn't want to. But I kind of feel like I need that right now, just with like being pregnant. And that's just not something he's willing to do. So with him being gone all the time and then him not like sleeping in the same bed with me and also like constantly taking care of our boy and working at long hours as well, because I work, 40 plus hours a week myself while taking care of my boy too. So I just I don't know. I'm just like, why don't you want to sleep with me in the bed? So I'm kind of just like confused. And then I felt like I had like this instinctual thing where he's just like brushing me off, and he normally doesn't do that. And I was just like asking the Holy Spirit about it. And that's kind of when I knew like something was going on with just his attention being somewhere else. Like, and not even like him cheating or anything or sleeping with someone, but he's just confiding in something else. And I know that's like weird to say maybe, but that's kind of like how I knew like he wasn't being like trying to connect with me, because I'm always willing to sleep with him. I'm young, I'm really like down for the ride every time I see him, but he's not so much of that way. So yeah, I'm trying to be like, modest with my words.
Nice. Right.
Yeah.
On. Wow, what a mess. Terrible.
Yeah.
What was your
I know.
Your question was, should
I because he's not planning to be there during the pregnancy. I asked him, and he was like, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it or think about it, about, trying to be there. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, whatever. Because we actually moved to Ohio because his family lives here, and my family lives in Georgia, so I don't know anyone here.
So he moved there for his family?
Yeah.
So his family, do they help out with you?
No.
Would you want them to?
Well, they don't.
So
Not,
you
I don't
wouldn't,
know.
and you don't mind.
I don't. I don't. I kind of grew up that way, so I'm like, if you want to help, that's awesome. If not, I can figure it out. Because I'm already again working 40 plus hours a week with my 1-year-old. So I just don't want to make it harder for myself. You know what I mean? Since he's wanting to just do whatever he wants to do. And those are the words he used. He's like, I just want to do my own thing. I want to be alone. And then says he just wants to work. But that's kind of like the most general way to explain it. And I don't want to like not have him around the children, but at the same time, he cusses me out a lot if he doesn't like something. And he's not so patient with me sometimes.
So you do bug him.
Well, if asking questions is bugging, I don't know how you would say that. You know what I mean?
If he's cussing you out, he's bugged.
Well, is that my fault if he responds that way? Because he asked me my thoughts, and then I told him.
Yeah.
And when I responded, it wasn't a way that he liked, and then he got frustrated with me.
Right.
So is that me bugging?
I mean, it sounds like he's blaming you for him getting mad.
Yeah.
It's not like you're totally innocent.
Yeah.
Or are you?
Maybe I shouldn't have questions, right? Maybe I shouldn't care to ask questions about what to do.
I notice that women sometimes think that they're just asking questions when they're actually bugging. And you're bothered by how he's distant and whatever else he may be doing. It's weird to you.
Because he smokes weed, and I'm like, you smoke weed already. So
see, like you're bugged, and so
he smokes all the time. Actually,
you're bugging with
what
him.
is wrong with you?
Yeah.
No,
see,
I didn't ask. No, I didn't ask about that.
No. But I'm saying you're bugging within. You're bugging out within about this man whom you married a few years ago, and you have a couple kids.
Well,
one on the way anyway. So you're definitely bothered by him, and he's bothered by you. Typical.
Oh. Well, I wasn't trying to bother him. He's never around, so how can I bother him? I mean, to me, I'm just like, why not say like, hey, I don't want to talk right now.
Because men don't necessarily talk like that.
Well, what about women? Women don't necessarily talk like not bugging, asking questions or whatever.
Does he want to still be married? Are you there? Lexi, are you there? I think you went on mute. I can't hear you.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I asked, and I didn't hear your answer because I think you went on mute. Does he still want to be married?
Oh, so his definition. Okay, so we're not actually married. But because he believes. Sorry if I sounded like I said marriage.
Yeah, well, you said husband. You called him a husband.
Oh, okay. I was definitely unconscious when I said that.
That's funny.
Yeah, because he believes that marriage is like just sex. So when you have sex with someone, you merge with them.
I used to think that, but I thought that it just meant that okay, you have sex, and let's say you had it out of wedlock. That's the person that you should marry. That's how I used to think when I was like 22. But because I was so Christian, and like I thought that it just bound you together, and so you might as well marry because you already messed it up, and that's the only person you can ever be with. So I'm like super Christian in my training. At least when I was, I don't even know if that's really Christian, but it's just kind of what the idea that I had in my mind. So he thought that, so he thinks that he's married to you because he's slept with you and had babies with you.
Well,
does he think he's married to the woman that he from back in college days too? Then he probably thinks that she's his wife too.
Yeah.
Yes?
I did ask him if he married her. Yeah. So he said that he's had multiple wives.
Oh, man.
And
Is he black or white or what? Hispanic?
he's black.
Are you black or white?
No. No, I'm well, I guess in layman's terms you could call me white.
You're okay, you're white
Because
adjacent.
I'm Asian and German.
Oh, okay. You're like Bruce Lee then.
Something like that, yeah.
Because Bruce Lee was Asian. Well, he was from Hong Kong and he was part German, I think. But anyway.
Oh, I did. Well, yeah, something like that.
But wow, drama.
Yes,
So
yeah,
much
I don't really
drama
know what
in
to do.
Ohio.
Yeah, and
Okay, so but my question was, does he want to? Well, since he thinks it's a marriage, does he still want to be this?
with me.
Does he believe that there is such a thing as divorce? Well, does he
Yes.
does he want to leave? Does he want you out? Does he want you to leave?
This is why it's confusing, because when he left, he was just saying a lot of like things about me. He was like, I don't like you.
Right.
I never liked you. I should have never even bothered you.
Right.
And then what was the other thing?
But okay.
But
Okay,
just
so
like, and
so
that's
he
what
said stuff
said to me.
he said stuff that sounds like rejection and he wants to leave, but he didn't say that he wants to leave.
Well, he left.
Well, I
after
mean,
that.
left,
He
but
left.
left for good, or he's coming back
And then he
a few
well,
weeks
he
later.
said he's gonna come back. I don't know, but this is what he said. He said, I'm gonna come back, wash my clothes, grab a few things, and head back out.
Oh. So why are you
But
trying to leave? You just let him leave. Right?
Well, I don't.
If he
I don't.
wants to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Ohio, you know. And I'm kind of just like trying to get over the place reminding me of how
Whose
bad I screwed up with
whose
my
place is
partner
it?
that I chose. It's technically his sister's place. She just decided to lease it to me because he didn't want to put his name on the lease for legal purposes, apparently. So it could look like he doesn't make a income.
Okay. Nice. Clever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Clever.
I
guess.
I'm kidding around. I don't even really fully understand, but I sort of get it. Some type of workaround with taxes or something. So
yeah. So my question was,
you feel bad. You kind of want to take the kids, but you would feel bad because he said that if you take the kids, you're going to mess them up. Because they need and want their father.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that at all?
Let me reflect for a moment. No.
You don't agree?
It's a wait and see. It's a wait and see. Well, I don't agree that I'll screw them up.
Oh.
Because I don't agree that I'll screw them up on purpose. How about that?
Right, on purpose, but most people probably don't do it, quote unquote, on purpose.
On purpose. Yeah.
So, but do you agree that kids want and should have their father, or do you think, in this case, no? It sounds like he wants them.
He wants them, and then he wants me to like be out of the picture. But I just don't know how to just leave my children. Because he just kind of like shows up and then leaves and then shows up. And for me, that's not like, I don't know how to deal with that. It's not something that I wanted.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, and I've primarily taken care of my son since he was born. He still co-sleeps with me and nurses. So I've been doing my best to like make sure he is still taken care of in that way. But as far as the co-parenting thing, he's not a really easy person to talk with unless I'm just like, whatever, do whatever you want.
Nice.
come
But isn't
whenever.
that's kind of what you have to surrender to anyway, since you can't talk to him.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah,
So you may as well acquiesce
that's the choice dichotomy. Yeah, that's a dichotomy that I have. With like, okay, I can either choose to give myself a breath of fresh air and do things on my own for a little while and support myself while he does whatever he wants to do until I'm like okay with communicating with him, and then or I could just cold turkey it and leave him up with everything, and he'll have to figure out what to do with his children and forget working. Because I told him, I was like, I'm not putting them in public school or daycare or anything like that. That was what I swore to myself.
Does he agree with that?
Yeah.
He agrees. So you guys are on the same page with regard to the kids.
Yeah, but it's more like I'm 23 and this guy's 40, and I let him convince me that marriage was sex.
Right.
And I
Are you trying to get away to get with some other guy?
Yeah, right. Let some other man raise my child.
So is that a no?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to
Nice.
do that. Yeah. Yeah. So I really kind of needed just someone else's thoughts on it that doesn't know me.
Let me tell you. Let me reiterate a little point that I made about women that may help you a little bit, because you want to watch yourself, not him.
Yeah.
And then you won't be quite so lost. And then I can recommend counseling if you want to do counseling. I don't know if you listen to JLP or if he does, or how you found my show.
Yeah,
or whatever.
he actually. Yeah, I listened to Jesse, and I actually shared it with this person that I'm talking with you about.
Oh, okay. So you found Jesse's show first, or whatever. You found Jesse's stuff, content.
Yeah.
And he likes Jesse too.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Does he like him better than you like Jesse?
No.
Okay, so you both like Jesse. You both have like a good idea for the kids. It's just that you guys hate each other now.
I don't hate him.
Well, you're kind of looking down on him because he's smoking pot all the time and doesn't want to be around.
No, I was just sharing that. I actually don't mind the smoking pot thing. I don't mind anything that he's doing.
Yeah. Okay. So you really like him. It's just that.
Yeah.
It's just that you can't help but somehow, by innocently asking questions in your mind, he gets irritated and has to leave and stay away for weeks on end. And it sounded kind of like he doesn't like you, and he thinks it's a mistake, and he should just pack up his things someday soon and get on out of there.
Yeah.
And it has you thinking that you can't leave me, I'm leaving you, or something. I don't know why you're talking about you want to leave him. Okay, so that's not it. I was just I put that way because I wondered why you were thinking of leaving when he was already sounded like. To you, the way that you talked to me, that he sounded like he said he was going to leave.
Yeah,
and so now you're just at a you just don't know what to do with the kids because they're so young. They may need you for the time being.
Yeah,
and then
that's why I was deciding to make that decision of keeping them and doing my own thing for a while.
And you want to move back to California or wherever. Or something.
To where I was before.
Where your parents are, where your family is, or something.
Oh heck no,
nice.
Not where my family is. Just where I would never do that.
Right on.
Because that's part of the reason we have issues is because his family
is in the way.
Puts their 2 cents in. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So they don't help. They just get in the way. somehow
Yeah.
with their yapping.
Yeah. Yes.
Super
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah. And with the way that they grew up and how they do things and
Okay, so like I started to say, you don't realize this,
yeah.
but you do bug him. There's something in your spirit that's
Unfortunately.
bugging him. And you think that you're
That
like
sucks.
when you said that you are just asking questions, that's not like a man asking him questions. That's like maybe a mama asking him questions. You may not even realize
he
I
does
know that
resent his mom.
you said that, you solicit he supposedly, according to you, solicited your input, and then when you give your
Yeah.
input it bothers him because you say it wrong or you
He's
ask
like,
him
"You're
questions
stupid."
wrong or something. What
He
did you
just
say?
thinks I'm stupid.
He thinks it's
He
stupid.
calls me stupid.
I know,
Yeah,
but you're
he calls me
23. Of course,
stupid.
he's gonna think you're stupid. He's 40, or you're 22.
Yeah.
He's 39, actually. But anyway,
Yeah,
I think that women are not as innocent as they play like they are.
yeah.
Because I have had women say, "Oh, I'm just asking questions," when actually they're nagging
Okay.
and they're judging, and it's
Okay.
not like how they're portraying it, and they're
Yeah.
kind of like lying to my face, and when we
Oh,
were
okay.
both there, and so watch yourself. Don't worry about him. If I suggest, are you a Christian?
If I absolutely had to say something, I would just say that I follow Jesus.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
the
Christian is
Christian
kinda
in
like-
me, the Christian in me, according to what the Bible says, and I think it's good advice, is if the unbeliever, say you're with an unbeliever,
Mhm.
if you're married, like you guys consider yourselves married, you don't anymore, and who knows what he thinks, but if you're with the unbeliever and the unbeliever wants to stay, let him stay, and you don't leave him.
Mhm.
If the unless like there's some danger, physical danger or whatever. If the unbeliever wants to leave, let him leave. You do nothing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And watch yourself.
Okay.
And when you watch yourself, you'll realize, maybe, that it was all selfishness. And that will actually, maybe, be a relief to you, and you won't need his love. And when you don't need his love, you'll love him whether he loves you back or not. And you'll maybe even learn you'll maybe even learn not to bug him or not to be bothered by him.
Mhm.
And maybe it fixes itself, or maybe it will work itself out best the less you think and the less you do, I think.
Okay.
Because right now it's working. You have a place to be. I get that you're feeling restless in Ohio, but what's done is done. You moved over there. That's where you are. Be there for now. Don't get into a panic thinking the grass is greener in where you were from. This is just my suggestion. You do what you want.
Yeah.
Of course, because you're living your life. I don't even see it except for a slight glimpse of this sarcastic, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah. Well, it was just like
and so just
I
take
guess
care
it
of
was
the
kinda my
kids.
fault.
Do your work. It sounds like you have plenty to do, and 40 hours taking care of the boy. Have the next kid. If he comes back and leaves, you're free to go back to wherever you came from that you liked better. Right?
Yeah.
But that's totally where I have no idea what all is going on. So you do what you see is right. But you can check out call the bond office if you want to schedule counseling. Maybe have it with him too, so that Jesse can get both your sides of the story. If he likes Jesse and you like Jesse.
Yeah, maybe. He doesn't even answer my calls.
Well, send him a text. Does he have you block on texts?
No, he just ignores me.
Yeah, so then just send a text. Hey, I want to schedule counseling with JLP at Bond.
Okay.
If that's what you want to do, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of like, you know, at wit's end, because, you know, this has been going on for kind of like a long time. But
right, but that's...
I appreciate the advice.
Yeah, and it's advice, just that's what I think, and it doesn't mean anything necessarily.
Well,
you got to do what you see to do. But
yeah.
but if you're at your wit's end, you're in blindness. Which when you're in blindness, they say when you don't know what to do, you do nothing.
Okay.
Do you do JLP's silent prayer?
Yeah. As
Nice.
often as I can.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
nice. Do it religiously.
Nice. Okay.
It's cool talking with you, Lexi. I appreciate your call.
Thanks, Hake.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Let me know how it goes, or let Jesse know how it goes. Are you thinking that you will call Bond?
Yeah, for sure. I just was like, kind of like needing something more immediate, because I know you guys are generally booked.
Oh, okay. Dang. So you're at wit's end to where you're like getting ready to do something tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of selling all the furniture in the place.
Whoa. You're tripping because he said that thing about...
No.
Oh, okay.
Just because kind of just was like, I've already been through enough, and I'm 23, and I
What's
left
that mean?
my whole I just was like, you know, my dad just passed away, and I'm just like really just opening a can of worms of things, and it's just like, I don't know, I just don't really see it as something worth like I guess standing by, I guess, and trying to like see it through, because almost anything that I say, he just kind of like, whatever, like, why are you talking to me? You know, I disagree. Get out of my face.
That's probably how a bunch of marriages are. I know like tons of marriages that are that way, and it doesn't sound like... I don't envy them, but
Absolutely not.
but it's as Anchor Baby said, it's a lifetime of duty.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, huh?
It's kind of like school. You didn't want to go to school, maybe, but that's where your life led you, or your society led you, and then this male or man led you into this situation, and whatever. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, next time I'll just get married in the courts and get a prenup.
What do you mean next time?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Absolutely just kidding.
That's so funny.
Bye.
Well,
okay.
well, it's the bond office is 1-800-411-BOND, 1-800-411-2663, or local number 323-782-1980.
Could you one more time that?
Yeah.
Last one.
323-782-1980.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, feeling a panic doesn't mean that there's any actual urgency.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something I've never actually been able to talk to anyone about.
Yeah. Cool, Lexi. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Hake.
Yeah,
Have a good rest of your show.
Yeah, you have a good rest of your life, and feel free to call again.
Okay, I will. Thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Shout out. You guys are terrible. Okay. A few super chats and then I'll get back to your calls, okay? Terrible. Just make sure that I'm clear over here. I did see a bunch came in on Buy Me a Coffee. At least a few came in on buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report. What's up, slave to him, T Flying Monkey, Dustin Cross. I do see a couple of Rumble rants over here. Sure enough, evil is still real. After 1960, Toynbee's ideas faded in both academia and in popular culture. His work is seldom cited today. In general, historians pointed to his preference for myths, allegories, and religion. To many world historians today, Arnold J. Toynbee is regarded like an embarrassing uncle at a house party. He gets a something by virtue of his place on the family tree, but he is quickly passed over. Sounds like the greatest historian ever for sure. Just have to look over the entire historical community treating him like a complete joke, says evil is still real, which, well, we all know the state of the historical community right now. It's a mess. They're embarrassing too. But interesting points. Evil is still real over on Rumble. And those are quotes that he got from something regarding Arnold J. Toynbee, the favorite and greatest historian. Age of Inversion says, historical community, unity. Oracle. That's funny. I know. I feel the same. I feel similar, but still, still like Toynbee. I don't know about. I don't want to make a position about Toynbee because I don't know. That's funny though. Okay. I missed a Cash App from shall I call him J-Dub? J-Dub. What's up, J-Dub? I'll call him J-Dub for now. Maybe he'll like it. He says, I don't like the name, because I call him Little Rock It Man. But I know you don't like me, so. Well, I don't want to do something just because you don't like it. That's not right. Why would I just, there's no reason to call you Little Rock It Man, graduate. If you don't like it, I just know you're from Little Rock, and so I call you Little Rock It Man. So I'm not saying it, I don't do stuff just to bug people unless I'm in a bugging mood, and then I just say, I'm just asking questions. Kind of like Lexi. I bug them just by existing. Shout out. I'm teasing, kidding around a little bit. Ego is real, not to be confused with evil is real. Different people, as I recall, bought a coffee. Arelis Hernandez. Probably Arelis Hernandez. Wrote an emotional, woman-brained, shout out, ladies, Washington Post article published last night regarding ICE raids on day workers. She avoids illegal, the word illegal, They're just poor immigrants and undocumented. Please. If they were undocumented, how did ICE know about them? ICE knew about them because they are documented as illegal, perhaps. A woman at McDonald's complained ICE randomly grabbed people. Oh, just randomly, huh? ICE intended systematically to nab them all, but it's ICE's fault they ran in making it random? They ran, making it random? Wow, they ran, huh? Illegals feel supported by the riots and mused what the USA would look like if all illegals suddenly left. In California alone, 10 million fewer vehicles. The traffic would be lighter. Very nice. Maybe the quality of the work would go up. Lower housing costs. Lower gang crime. Fewer homeless. Fewer government subsidies. Republicans could win elections. Yeah, because the illegals make babies who become voters. And they're worse than their parents. Shout out. Demon rats pay the minimum wage they wanted. New scum, whoa, is suing to stop Trump deploying National Guard. Lyndon Johnson did it in the 60s under the Insurrection Act. Trump is using Title 10 of the U.S. Code, which allows the president to federalize National Guard in cases of invasion, rebellion, or when police are unable to enforce the country's laws. It allows troops to protect federal agents carrying out law enforcement activity and protect federal property. Seems legit. Thank you. Ego is real. Sup, Hake, says Caesar. 3 coffees. I can't lie, Mark is still one of my faves. Laughing face with tears. He's one of those ninjas that are white on the outside, but black on the inside, like a reverse Oreo. LOL. Yeah, ready to fight. Not only does he not do research before he makes a claim and gets all emotional like the blacks, not all, but most, but he's super entertaining. Laughing face. He'll forever be one of my favorites. What he said about Kush yesterday had me rolling around with laughter. But seriously, LM blank O. But seriously, according to Grok, which researched the Luba civilization using resources like Britannica, I think they're pretty reputable, can confirm that did exist, and there's evidence of this in various museums in the U.S. or Africa. Were still around for about 100 years after the birth of this country that we live in. So says he. I don't know if that's true, but anyway, he says it's okay to be wrong, Mark, but it's not okay to spread false claims. Actually, it's okay to spread false claims. We just disavow them. That's just the work of the children of the lie, and I don't want you to be that. Have a great day, everyone. Right on. Yeah, I mean, it's not very white to spread false claims. Whites like to be factual. Whites, even per capita, more often, I would say, seemingly, maybe not, like the truth, not just facts. They like the truth, big picture truth. Sion bought our coffee. No message, to my knowledge. Harmony bought our coffee. Hake, all my friends. Thank you, Sion. Thank you, Cesar. 3 coffees. Harmony says, Hake, all my friends and family and coworkers, going nuts on social media over the deportation stuff. Am I overreacting by being annoyed? Yeah. No need to be annoyed. No need to be annoyed. But if you find yourself annoyed, just be quiet. And that way you can know for yourself how to react. Probably not even react. Respond, Probably not respond at all. Yeah, because social media I've learned over the past, say, 15 years, there's no reason to respond on social media to anything, really. But thank you, Harmony. Popcorns, Thump Keg, thank you for your attention to this matter. As a message that the Great White Hope tends to add to the ends of his truths, or whatever truth social posts are called. Yes, they are called truths. Thank you for acknowledging Popcorn's Thump Keg. He recently declared via Truth Social Also, from now on, masks will not be allowed to be worn at protests. Why do these people have to hide and why? What do these people have to hide and why? Triple question mark. He obviously can't unilaterally make it illegal for masks to be worn at protests. So, what do you think the purpose of this message was? First question. Also, how does the National Guard being deployed against the will of the state gel with your Hake support of states' rights? Question mark. Is it the case that if troops are deployed in support of an effort to enforce federal law, you support it? What's the standard? I don't think that they need the state to agree to it necessarily. Yeah. Do they need them to agree with it? Yeah, I don't think he's imposing on the state. He can do whatever he wants. The libs certainly do. Yeah, it has nothing to do with states' rights. It's not forcing the state to do anything. It's just taking their state's National Guard, nationalizing. It's called the California National Guard, and so they're protecting the nation. Supposedly we're a nation, right? That's long gone. Yeah, I don't really have it. I think that it's you don't. Are you pretending that it's not justified to bring in the National Guard? Have you seen how out of control it is for the past 4 days? 4 days of riots. By the way, American Anchor Baby is coming up, guys. Okay? American Anchor Baby is coming up. The lines are full, and I have less than 25 minutes to go. Just over 20 minutes. So thank you, Popcorn. Hopefully I satisfactorily answered your question. I do love states' rights, though. Yep. California has a right to descend into hell. Nice. Okay, so David in Ocala, Florida, been on hold forever and a day. Thank you, David. What's up, man?
Wow, man. I mean, I'm telling you, my head is like swimming. I've major flashbacks of being a kid after that conversation.
So you were a kid, and you relate to Lexi's kids in a
yes.
sense. So like your mother was alone a lot, and your father or the stepfather.
No. Here,
was...
I'll give you the short end of it. Okay?
Yeah.
The short deal. Okay. My mom was 17 when she had me.
Oh, cool.
She was 21 when she had my half sister, and because of her decisions, okay, all right.
Yep.
I lived in 13 different places by the time I was 13 years old.
Wow.
Which that was the last place I lived. But I went to five different elementary schools.
And it was all because your mother couldn't settle down and stay on track.
No, it was because my mother didn't do what God said. She didn't wait to get married and have a real husband before she decided to have children.
Aha.
Okay? That's why God said, don't do this. Okay, you open up a can of worms. That's just unbelievable.
But my caller Lexi was convinced by her her children's father that sex is marriage.
Yeah,
and
but
so in her mind she
okay.
was getting married.
No. Yeah, but what 40-year-old goes after a 23-year-old?
Well, no, he was
30. At the time.
Yeah, he was 36 and she was 19 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
That's not so bad.
He needs a punch in the face, okay? That's what that dude needs.
No.
That's what I would tell him if I saw him.
That's funny.
Say, listen, first off,
but maybe he thought so too. I mean, people get crazy ideas.
Dude, that's weak. That's so weak. That's almost
okay.
A pedophile,
it's weak,
bro.
Well, hey,
I
that's
mean,
not. But it's not.
Dude.
Almost
I know,
is not.
Legally, it's not.
Right.
Okay, but manly, okay. I mean, dude, that would be like me right now going out for some 40-year-old chick.
No. But listen, at one time that was traditional, I think.
Yeah, in the 1800s.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but nowadays, man, men that grew up in my era, that was so weak, dude. I mean, we used to beat guys up, man, if they were messing with a girl that was 2 years older than them, and it was some guy's sister. I mean, we just stomp them.
Well, I disavow that.
Well, that's how you got them to move on. Anyway, listen, man, I had
Yeah.
a few
Okay.
things, so I just wanted to say, hey, because this is going to just, man, oh my God, the rest of my day I'm going to be thinking about this stuff. Anyway, you had that caller Elijah call yesterday?
Yeah.
Man,
Good
what a
old-
great caller, dude. Great caller.
Do you agree with him about the Jew stuff? Because he was criticizing Jewish people.
In a sort of
And
a way,
Israel.
I do. The Jews, because they're all about money, and they're all about, they don't know that. First off, they rejected Jesus as their Messiah, and 99% of them don't believe he's their Messiah, but they're going to accept the Antichrist. But anyway, he's on top of his game. Hake, he told you about that book of Enoch, like I have before, and you should really read some of that, man, especially the beginning, okay? The most important part of the book of Enoch is like the first chapter.
But this
okay?
book of Enoch thing is not even in the accepted Bible. It's not.
They
Is it the
took it
word?
out.
Do you consider it the word of God?
Yes.
And I don't have a position for or against it. I don't know.
Okay, the reason why I do is because God took Enoch, he didn't die, okay? So
Right, but just because...
Unless I got the wrong Enoch here.
Yeah, because
okay?
you don't know that it's the same Enoch. I don't know why they didn't put it in.
It makes a lot of... What it does, man, if you'll read it, it brings all the Bible into perspective, man. That's the part that it brings all kinds of other stuff
Okay,
into
well,
perspective.
I don't know about it. Let's move on. I accept your recommendation, but I want to move forward because I don't know anything about it. I don't want to promote it.
I had something that I wanted to share with him, real quick that he might be interested in. I'm not plugging anybody's name or anything like that. It's just a book. So can I recommend a book to him? Have you ever listened to
Do me a favor. Do me a kind favor and email me the Hake report.
I can't do that.
You don't know how to email?
Well, yeah, but
let me put you on hold.
Like,
let me put you on hold and have Derek take your recommendation.
No, I ain't worried about it. Let me just talk to you real quick about these illegals, and I'll move on.
Okay.
You people, those, I told you that 24% of California is like illegals, right?
Wow. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that?
I saw it in an article.
Okay.
Now I don't know if it's totally true or not, but I actually read it. And here's the thing. This is what I think they did. They realized in the 60s that the blacks didn't have a big enough population to do what they want to do, so they brought in all these people to destroy us from within because they want to usher in this one world government I told you about.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Elijah brought up that Nimrod and the Tower of Babel and stuff, and that's exactly what they're trying to bring back. Notice that they want all this diversity, and we're the country that they're trying to bring it into.
Interesting.
Notice, except for England and like Ireland now, they're trying to destroy them too with the Muslims and all that stuff. And so what they want a world without borders.
Terrible, evil.
And they watch it.
The kingdom of Satan is very diverse and crowded, and the kingdom of God is a little diverse, but very few and far between.
So let me just tell you two things real quick, and then I'll go because I know you got all those other calls.
Yeah, real quick.
On the call. Okay, watch this. Okay, so they even have planes. Have you ever seen planes that say "One World" on them?
Yeah.
See, they subliminally throw you this stuff. Now watch this. There's a building in Strasbourg, France. Okay, that they actually built after the European Parliament building. It's in Strasbourg, France. They built this building off of a drawing from 1563 that was drawn as the Tower of Babel. Okay, so there was a drawing in 1563 of the Tower of Babel, and these people went and made a building that looked just like that building, except for it's futuristic. Okay, and that's where they meet. So they've been working on this for a long time, and the only way to get this one world government is they got to take out America.
I don't know, man, but definitely they are definitely enemies of America and of Americans within America and outside. Thank you, man. I got to run.
Yeah,
good talking with you.
I know. Yeah, have a good show, man.
I appreciate you, man. We'll talk again.
No problem.
Hopefully.
All right, man. Bye-bye.
Bye. You know, I was remiss. I didn't answer Popcorn's first question. Huh. Imagine that. He asked, what is the purpose of saying no more masks at protests? He's expressing a need for us to be able to identify criminals. And so I like that. I like that. Whether he has the authority or not, he's a man of authority, and he's establishing what needs to happen. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Maybe the governors and local authorities, I know that there are cities who have enforced no masks. And unfortunately, during the China virus, we went back to masks, and it was good for people who need to protect their themselves from the government, you know, the right-wingers and stuff. Some of these people who are being persecuted by the FBI, J6ers and stuff. Shout out. But Antifa, Black Lives Matter, those people are enemies of America. And those people who are looting these stores and stuff and committing crimes and unlawfully assembled in a place where it's declared an unlawful assembly, there's no need to protest. It's stupid. And so I don't even call it legitimate protests, because it's not. It's not a legitimate protest. I get that some people are more peaceful than others, a little bit more civilized in their uncivilized protest. But no, there's no need for masks. And I only want the police and ICE to be masked so they can't be doxxed because they rubber bullet some Australian journalist gal. Sorry. I laugh at my own jokes. But I'm not joking exactly. I want them to be able to do what they want, because what they want to do is right. By the way, over on BitChute, breaking. President Trump just threatened protesters who dare protest his authoritarian military parade on Saturday. So much for free speech. Nice. And he pretends he doesn't know about the hashtag No Kings protests that are happening all over the country and even in parts of Europe. Wow, so Joey Blow is a liberal in my, and he might be a bot, in my live chat over on BitChute. What's up, Joey Blow? I feel like I've seen you around, though. Might not be a bot. Nice. A 2-star general forgot to take food and water on a deployment. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, in overall command, didn't make arrangements for billeting. B-I-L-L-E-T-I-N-G, whatever that is. So no showers or hot chow. An incompetent lifer bleep show. The Speaker of the House just said the governor of California should be tarred and feathered, says Leaping. This is where we are now, folks. What's with all this liberal propaganda on BitChute, of all places? BitChute. Shout out. Very fun to be streaming live on BitChute, kinda. What's up, Neo? Gifted the shades. Happy Tuesday, brother. Thank you, Neo. Nice to see you, man. And thanks for the raid, Neo. N-E-Y-Y-O. Not to be confused with N-E-Y-O. Okay, my goodness. Let me plow through as many calls as possible. Rudy, a first-time caller in California, on the line here. Rudy, I have just a short time. Go ahead. Thank you for holding. Rudy, are you on hold? Are you on mute? Rudy going
Hey,
once. There you are.
Hear me, Hake?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? How's
Hey,
it going, man?
thanks for holding.
Hey, no problem, man. Appreciate it. Hey, real quick, just to put this whole Kush conversation with Mark to rest, because I think Mark means well, but if he's an honest guy and not caught up in his identity, he'll, a little quick research will just give you the answers you're looking for, right? So Kush existed around 1070 BCE to 350 CE. Okay, it was a major empire around that time.
BCE is just like BC, and CE is just like AD. Yeah, okay, so I actually tend to believe you, Rudy. I mean, I tend to agree with that. It was a nice little civilization. Not, I say a little, but it was a decent civilization, right?
It was around like Sudan, South Egypt,
Okay.
So when he's saying like the white people came and they didn't see any empires, those white people are the modern white people who came,
Right.
you know, and they landed around West Africa and things like that. Africa is gigantic; it's a continent,
Yeah.
so there are plenty of empires that they would not have seen, right?
So was this called the Kushan Empire, also known as the Kingdom of Kush, or those two different things?
The Kushites.
Kushites.
They were known as the Kushites. You've probably heard of them in the Bible too.
I think I did actually.
Yeah, they talk about it in the Bible a lot. The Kingdom of Kush. There's tons of Egyptian records.
Okay.
Even modern historians talk about it. There's a few. I can tell you a few historians and scholars.
Yeah.
George Andrew Reisner spoke about them. He's an American archaeologist. Dowles Dunham, Laszlo Turok, David N. Edwards, Timothy Kendall, Angelica Lauweser, or something like that. And the Sudan Archaeological Research Society. So if Mark wants to look it up, he can look those up. He can play it back. Look those names up.
Mark's purpose for holding on to this point, it sounds like, is where are the black civilizations today that aren't built on like white colonization?
Oh well, I mean, yeah. If he's talking about today, well, I mean, clearly there aren't any white civilization has taken over the world.
Yeah.
As we know, they've created modern society.
Yeah.
So we're not going to try to get around that. We don't want to deny a historical fact, but if it's not relevant to his point, then yeah, white society currently is, of course, the leading society right now.
Right.
And everybody just kind of like piggybacks off of that, whether you're brown or yellow or whatever.
Indeed.
You know, they all piggyback off that, except for Asia, where they're trying to contest. But if even Asia is piggybacked off of that,
they totally do. I was talking with Bill, the engineer. They, you know how we send manufacturing over there? They copy our stuff and they violate our. You know, they don't respect our intellectual property.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody piggybacks right now off the white civilization because they did make, a solid civilization. And I think that's because of, if you believe in like, the geography effect, where basically they were
colder climate,
colder, and they had to think. I mean, their processing power wasn't taken up by the heat. And so they had to be very innovative in order to survive their harsh geography, right?
That makes a lot of sense. That would definitely be a huge factor, I think, in the cultural civilization type development.
Exactly. So, and it's not something to be stuck on either, because
for sure,
when you're stuck on identity like that, you get caught up in that. You don't get to see the real things in front of you. So I just wanted to bring those points up.
That's a great point about being stuck on identity. And I think that's what is happening with Mark, actually. Thank you, man. Okay. Great call.
No problem.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
All right.
You too.
Bye. And Ronnie in Ohio on the line over here. Oh, Ronnie, thanks for calling and holding, man. Go for it.
My brother Hake, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about you?
All is well.
Nice.
The previous caller kind of touched on a lot of what I was gonna reference when it comes to Kush.
The Kingdom of Kush.
So I'm glad he covered those bases.
Yeah.
I know Mark wants to deny it. I was hoping that you would ask him who he trusts more between Toynbee and Encyclopedia Britannica.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Because Encyclopedia Britannica mentions and they cover the Kush Empire, and I know he's rooted in using Toynbee as a source for saying that it's impossible for that to be true.
Yeah.
But that's his only source, and he hasn't seemed to consult other sources. And I'm just wondering if he trusts Toynbee more than.
But Toynbee didn't even really make any assertion specifically about Kush, the Kingdom of Kush, that I know of.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So it's not. He's not even leaning on
that.
Toynbee, but anyway, yeah. Shout out.
Yes. So the coffee that I bought when I mentioned Kush, I also mentioned Luba and Mali.
Right.
So and nobody's talked about those other places, but he still hasn't necessarily made clear what his overall point is, and even making me have to bring this stuff up. I'm still not sure what he's getting at.
I think he's saying that the blacks are meant to serve whites and they don't make civilizations. That's whites' job. on the earth.
And that is his opinion, and he can keep that opinion. I don't think
He
he'll
can't
have to
share
bring.
it. He has to keep it. He can't share it.
He's got to bring forth better evidence than other than just one person that said everything else is impossible.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just tough having a real conversation with him. He kind of reminds me of somebody that would take a bucket to the ocean and then scoop some water in it and be like, well, there's no sharks in here, so there must not be any sharks in the ocean because there's none in my bucket. I just don't understand how you can have such a limited view.
Is it true that you take pride in Kush having existed, being black, and they were black? We surmise?
No, it does. I don't feel any type of way about that.
Okay. So you don't.
Yeah, the only reason I brought it up is because he kept requesting, him and Hayden, they kept requesting that I specifically mentioned some black civilizations for them. And
I forgot what
I wasn't surprised when they said I wasn't surprised when they admitted that they had never heard of it. And was like, okay, yeah, you're very limited in what you've learned. So
you know what's interesting about Kush's story was that it's the same as all of civilizations. They get rich, and then they get invaded and they fall or something.
Yeah, Manuel said that in his in the previous call earlier today, and I couldn't agree with him more. Civilizations rise and they fall. So to expect a civilization to withstand a scramble for Africa, not being a part of the Silk Road, but having to deal with the effects of the Silk Road and gunpowder and all that stuff coming from Asia into Europe, to not know that stuff is just, it leads to people being as ignorant as they are, and it's not their fault. I just kind of feel sorry for them that they didn't either take the initiative to learn that stuff or they just weren't taught that.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Ronnie, take care.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too. Man, oh man, oh man. Jeff in Louisiana on the line over here. Jeff, thanks for calling and holding. You have 2 minutes.
I think a short time.
Or one.
I'm going to tell you, man, I don't watch the news a lot, but I've been watching the past couple of days. I'm going to tell you, you live in LA, so protect yourself. Steal some Adidas and steal a cell phone, and you're good.
Say again? Did you say steal a cell phone?
I said steal some Adidas shoes and steal a cell phone, and you're good.
Steal some shoes and steal a cell phone, and you're fine.
Just some Adidas shoes. Apparently, all I was looking for Adidas shoes.
Adidas shoes?
Yeah, Adidas shoes.
Why Adidas? Because they're stylish?
That's what everybody's stealing.
Oh.
Man, there was. I watched a video last night. Dude, was hilarious as hell. I'm sorry, cuss word.
Okay.
But these two black guys broke in a store, were stealing shoes. They started running down the store and they tried to break out the window, bust out. The cops wouldn't get them. They couldn't get the window busted, so they run in the store, went out the back door, and got locked in between two black gates.
Whoa.
They couldn't get out. They was in the back of the store.
Nice.
And that was just funny, dude. And you know, the Mexican president said something yesterday or the day before, I think it's the day before, that authorized Trump to commit military action against her. Against all this. She went on TV and she said all the people and all the.
And then I gotta hang up and close up my show.
Yeah, she said all the legals in the United States are just searching for a better life. So if you're over there, stand and support them. She's authorizing
evil.
The
wow, the Mexican president said that?
Yeah, and then she went back on.
That crossed the line.
Later
I gotta close up shop, Jeff. Take care, man.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. Bye, guys. Rick and Hampton and the rest of the callers and the super chats. Peace in the Middle East. Bye. I'll just do this. Bye.